1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, great. In boxes, right? See? See? And a happy Friday, folks. Thanks for spending some time with us on this evening. I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandajis. Well, we're wrapping up what was a very warm week and a start to the month of May. We hit 90 degrees yesterday, and check out highs today. Made it into the upper 80s. Not quite as warm as where we were yesterday, but take a look in the top right corner there. The normal is 75. So we were well above that today, and we will continue with the warmth and the humidity and the sunshine into the first half of the weekend. But we're going to talk more in depth about that weekend forecast, because even earlier this week we had said it's going to be a 50-50 weekend. Now, early on, it looked like Saturday would be the unsettled day, Sunday would be better. Since then, things have flipped with a slower moving storm system progressing from the west to the east, slowing down, allowing us to squeeze out another warm, nice day on Saturday, bringing in the unsettled weather for Sunday. But even on Sunday, I don't think it's going to be a complete washout for the entire day, and I'll show you why with the latest computer models here in just a minute. So here's a look at those afternoon highs today. Again, 88 out at Norfolk. We did have a few storms bubbling on up, mainly off to the south here, and that's where we find a storm just south of Edenton. And you can see it here over the last 3 hours. They were building to the north and east, and then they really started to dissipate as they hit the far western portions of the Albemarle Sound. Seeing a little blow off top here going over near Edenton with some showers there, but never really made it to severe criteria. Had some gusty winds and heavy rain, but you can see it's really kind of whittling apart and falling apart. We got another line here, cluster that's building up along I-95 north of Rocky Mount. That may hold together and bring a few sprinkles or showers into the Ahoskie area over in Hertford and Bertie, but that looks to be about it out there right now. The rest of the area will remain quiet. Now look at this severe thunderstorm warning here south of Greensboro. that's just popped on up here with another cell. But again, all of that's going to fall apart probably even by the time it reaches the Raleigh area in the next couple of hours. So here's satellite and radar. Showed the afternoon kind of clouds, cumulus bubbling on up with the daytime heating. And then look at that cloud shield that's pretty much encompassing all of northeastern North Carolina now from the decaying thunderstorm cell south of Edenton. That's going to be pushing off to the east and northeast and offshore. But look at what's happening off to the west. We've got a pronounced cold front, and this is the same cold front that'll make it in our vicinity on Sunday. So that's how slow moving it is. It's not all that far away. It's just on the western side of the Appalachians, but it's going to slow down and pretty much stall out for the next 24 hours and then make it here by Sunday. So it's driven by an area of low pressure, surface low, that's up over the Great Lakes. But notice the other area of low pressure that's held back to the west, okay, out over Iowa. That is the upper level feature of this system, okay? And this is what's going to be what prompts an unsettled stretch of weather starting Sunday with the arrival of the cold front. And then as the upper level low pivots on in and likely sits to our north and west, that'll promote the ongoing risk of some showers. Not expecting a washout. But what it will do is keep the clouds around. Temperatures will be a little bit cooler, especially from where we've seen. Still near normal, even above normal in the upper 70s for much of next week. But cooler, and the shower risk will be there at least through the middle of the week. These are notoriously hard to forecast the movement of because they're such large structures, complex features that, you know, as long as they're in our general area, they still have an impact on our forecast here locally. So that's what it looks like well off to the west. Look at all the severe weather. We've got, severe thunderstorm watch boxes out north of Houston, south of Dallas, stretching up in the northern portions of Alabama, up into Kentucky and Tennessee. And we had another watch box earlier that was up in Ohio, and that has since dissipated. But a lot of active weather along this slow-moving cold front. You can see the severe weather outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. Level 3 out of 5 for a large area stretching all the way from the Mexico border all the way up just south of Cincinnati, up through central portions of Kentucky. And that is for the remainder of today. Look what happens tomorrow. It slowly builds to the east, okay? It does start to work into portions of Virginia and North Carolina. You can see the level 2 threat there along the Blue Ridge I-81 corridor, level 2 out of 5 threat, and the far western or far eastern portions of the level 1 threat on Saturday into Sunday, late Saturday night into Sunday morning does work into our far western cities and counties along the I-95 corridor. I think the severe threat for us is rather low. Why do I think that? Well, the front will likely be arriving here in the morning hours. If we were to see the front get here in the afternoon, we have the hours of daytime heating to work to destabilize the atmosphere and further enhance, our chance of seeing severe weather. That doesn't look likely this go around. So we'll see the storms arriving, or even the rain, heavy downpours arriving likely between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. from west to east. So having it arriving during that time frame will really limit our severe potential. But regardless, Storm Prediction Center says, there's a chance a few of those cells could be on the stronger side. Main threat would be gusty winds, and we'll find that farther to the west along I-95 where the dynamics will be a little bit stronger. So here are some weekend forecast notes. Saturday is going to be a continuation of what we've enjoyed this week, really. We had temperatures well above where we should be, a taste of summer. So it's going to be hazy, hot, and humid tomorrow on your Saturday. There's a lot going on tomorrow, okay? You've got the Kentucky Derby tomorrow evening, numerous areas doing either charity events or just get-togethers for the Derby, a lot of which are being held outdoors. And then, of course, you've got the Town Point Norfolk Wine Festival going on at Town Point Park Saturday and Sunday. So this brings to light, hot, humid conditions, lots of sunshine, standing in line, doing some outdoor adult beverage consumption. Make sure you stay hydrated out there and about tomorrow. On Sunday, rain and storm chances are up. I told you that window of opportunity, 8 a.m. to around 2 p.m. or so. I don't think it's going to be a complete washout of a day, and we'll talk about those models here in just a second. But 87 for the forecast high tomorrow. Really nice day, and really our fourth day in a row of temperatures close to 15 degrees above normal. There'll be some spots tomorrow that likely hit that 90-degree mark. And then on Sunday, we've got temperatures that will be cooler because of the arriving cold front. We've got the clouds on the increase, and then the rain and storm threat, of course. So we're looking at a 78-degree high coming off a low of 70, so warm and muggy out there to start things Sunday. And a 70% chance of those showers, downpours, and a few thunderstorms as well. So here's a look at those rain and storms, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Stay close to the forecast, because although our models have been really kind of consistent on the arrival time being predominantly in the morning hours on Sunday, they still could shift. They're still about 36 to 48 hours between now and then. So we'll have to watch that carefully. All right, let's get to the modeling now. I'm going to show you two separate computer models. The first here is going to be the in-house short-range high-res model called the Graph. And then I'm going to show you another short-range high-res model called the HRRR, or the HRRR model. And you're going to notice remarkable consistencies between the two, and that's a good sign for forecast confidence. So here's how we go on the Graph. We'll start things off tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And I'm just going to play it right on through early afternoon, because we've got no weather issues at all. There's going to be plenty of sunshine, a breeze out of the south and west, which will take a little bit of the edge off with the heat and humidity out there, make it feel quite comfortable to be outside, and pairing that with plenty of sunshine. Past sunset Saturday evening, 8 p.m., we've got temperatures in the mid to upper 70s still, breezy south winds, 10, 15, 20 miles per hour, and a few more clouds beginning to build on, and especially the farther west you are. But notice, any wet weather is still way west of I-95, really hung up along the I-81 corridor, and will stay there for the overnight hour. So even Saturday night's dry. Then we get towards 7 a.m. or so. I'll stop it here Sunday morning, so sun up. I-95 corridor is getting wet, and even our far western cities and counties beginning to get in on the action of a defined line, a squall line of showers, thunderstorms, downpours. Now, there is the outside chance that a few embedded storms in here could be on the stronger side, with some gusty winds, maybe in excess of 50 miles per hour. So we'll keep that in mind, again, early in the day on Sunday. Let's jump ahead to mid-morning, 10 a.m. Gates at Winefest open up at 11 a.m. We're pouring buckets in a lot of areas around mid-morning through most of the area. Okay, and temperatures mid to upper 60s at that time. It'll be a little bit breezy as well. Widespread moderate to heavy rain. But we jump ahead to early afternoon. Notice what happens here. Models become from what was a stalled boundary almost to our west to a more progressive system as it charges east. That's a good sign for outdoor activities on Sunday. At 1 o'clock, according to this model, most of the widespread heavier rain is now shifted a little bit farther to the east, meaning some drying conditions beginning to build in from the west. Now, it's not going to get all sunny and gorgeous out there Sunday afternoon. In fact, as we go on through early Sunday evening, you see the cloud deck will likely stay quite thick. There may be some bright spots here and there, but predominantly cloudy for Sunday afternoon. And we'll still have to contend with the chance of a few isolated showers still, even though the main organized line will be pushing east at that point. And then we'll begin to feel the influence of that upper level feature I mentioned as that scoots in from the north and west and kind of just remains overhead for a couple days, keeping conditions very similar to what we'll experience Sunday afternoon. Cloudy, cooler, breezy with the shower chances out there. So that's how that model plays things out. Now I want to go over to the other computer model, the high-res HRRR. That will start things off again at 7 a.m. And I'll just scroll through this for you. So we'll go through tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. We're good. Through most of the day, we're good. Lunchtime, dry, sunny, and warm. Early afternoon, mid-afternoon, nothing happening. And then as we get towards Saturday evening, still quiet. Here we are by Saturday at sunset. Nothing happening out there at all. Still quiet. Everything lining up with what we saw on the graph, still held off well to the west, okay, along I-81. You can see Lynchburg starting to see some of the storms there around sunset. But we go a little bit farther out, 11:30, midnight, overnight, still well to the west. And then let's jump ahead to right around sunrise. Notice how similar the arrival times are. So the HRRR here a little quicker, okay? Getting here around sunrise through most of Hampton Roads and looking a little more ominous according to this most recent run. Right around sunup, we're looking at some storms, downpours, some rumbles of thunder in there. And then 8 a.m., it's pretty much raining area-wide. Some pockets of heavier rain in there as well, but it arrives earlier. That means it exits a little earlier, okay? So I've got the Winefest on my mind, right? So 11 a.m., gates open. Let's see what it looks like according to this model as we get closer to 11 a.m., okay? There's 11 o'clock. That looks just like the graph did for early afternoon. So it's running a couple hours ahead of schedule. We're seeing the rain beginning to taper off. Still likely some rain coming on down in Norfolk, portions of Chesapeake over to Virginia Beach. But the heaviest of the rain at that point, again, according to this model, in agreement with the graph model, pushes the heaviest rain to the east and offshore by that time. And then by the afternoon hours, we're looking at just a few shower chances out there, very similar to what we just saw on the graph. So we've got two short-range, high-resolution models in agreement, or close agreement, at least, of the arrival of the heaviest rain looks to be Sunday morning, and most of the heaviest rain and storm chances will begin to exit by at least early afternoon. So planning-wise, go with that so far, how things have been looking here with both of those short-range models. So what is going to be driving our second unsettled pattern here after that front pushes east? You're going to be hearing this kind of buzzword a lot over the next couple days. It's called an omega block. And this is a pressure pattern that we sometimes see develop right around this time of year. It's quite common. And this is a pressure system, or you could really just think of it as an atmospheric traffic jam. That's essentially what's going on here. We've got an area of low pressure hung up over the Great Lakes, a similar area of low pressure along the west coast, and in between a ridge of high pressure. It resembles the Greek letter omega. And that pressure pattern really kind of keeps things in gridlock. Nothing is able to progress east or west. It's a very amplified pattern, meaning systems are moving rather slowly from east to west. What we would like to see set up is a very progressive pattern, right? A very, fast-moving west to east pattern. Not the case this go-around for this upcoming week. So we'll have that upper level low lingering. That means the cool conditions, the cloudy conditions, and the risk of a few showers as we get into Monday, Tuesday, and perhaps into Wednesday. And I mentioned it's a very hard thing to forecast when exactly that pattern will break down and things become a little bit more progressive and clearing things out. It looks like, at least from the longer range models, that midweek will probably be that time frame that breaks down and we gradually dry out and clear out by Thursday and Friday, and by next weekend, hopefully, things are all cleared out and we're back over to sunshine and dry conditions. But that's going to be the dominant factor in our pattern here from Sunday and onwards, the omega blocking pattern, essentially a traffic jam in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So how much rain could we see just this weekend alone? We're not looking at a ton here, folks. I mean, the heaviest rain coming in Sunday morning. And since it'll be moving pretty quickly, we're maybe half an inch, upwards of an inch in some of the heaviest of the downpours. So we could use the rain. That'll be a good drink of water for the lawns, good drink of water for the plants, and maybe vegetables that you put in the ground so far as we're now in early May. But that looks to be about it through the weekend. We could add on to that, though, with the shower chances going in to Monday and Tuesday. Let's talk about those weekend rain chances, because we saw how Saturday you're dry. Dry as a bone Saturday all day long and all night Saturday night into Sunday morning. Now, as we get into Sunday, right near sunrise, those chances will go up. Models here are quite low on those chances. I would say we're more at 70–80% risk at rain, 8 a.m. right up through lunchtime, and then it drops off noticeably after lunchtime into early afternoon, signaling a drier pattern coming in for the second half of the day on Sunday. So that's going to be what we're going to be kind of hoping for and rooting for as we get into the second half of the weekend. But as I mentioned, the rain chances, once they do develop, will stick around. That upper level low is sticking around. So Monday, Tuesday, going to look at isolated scattered shower chances. There's no single day in the next 7 days where we have a washout potential. That's good news. Some scattered showers here and there. It'll be a little crummy to be outside. We'll have the cloud cover around, especially after getting used to this past week where we had so much sunshine and summer-like temperatures. It kind of got you into the mood for the summer weather, right? Well, this week coming up is going to be a little bit different and a change of pace from what we saw the last 7 days or so. But those are a look at the rain chances. Before I let you go this evening, I want to revisit radar, because we were looking at that one lone downpour or storm that was southwest of Edenton. And you can really just see here that has really fallen apart. Here's a look at the last 3 hours. Coming out of Greenville, North Carolina over Williamston, it was quite a potent cell. It was on the stronger side. Lightning, thunder, even this potential of some small hail was in there, but it's really died out. And this correlated perfectly with the setting sun. The instability really started to go down after the sunset, and things have just really kind of rained themselves out here, maybe a sprinkle or two over Edenton. And we'll keep an eye on this other cluster here, moving northeast out of Rocky Mount towards Enfield, about to head into Northampton County in North Carolina in the next hour or so. But again, you can see it kind of generally weakening as well in that particular area. Another more sustained cluster here over Troy to the southwest of Raleigh. There's downtown Raleigh there. You can see it's moving in that direction. They may have some severe weather or at least strong storms there in the next couple of hours, but by the time that would make it in our area, it'll likely find the same fate that cell near Edenton found just kind of raining itself out over the last couple of hours. Well, folks, that is the latest. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday evening for a check on the weekend forecast. Again, Saturday, tomorrow looking great for everything outdoors. I know there's a ton going on this weekend. One of the reasons why I wanted to jump on here and kind of give you a more in-depth look of what to expect this weekend. Sunday, we'll have to contend with the early morning rain chances that could have a few storms in there as well, but looking okay into the afternoon hours. If anything changes, of course, we'll bring them to you. We'll have a new run of both of those short-range computer models I shared with you coming up on 13 News Now at 11 on the TV side. And then, of course, Taylor Stephenson will have more model data to go through with you tomorrow morning on Daybreak on Saturday morning. Have a great rest of your Friday.